Well, good evening, guys. Thank you for joining us for the very first of the 2019 town hall meetings on the 2019 referendum. I want to thank everybody for taking a few moments just to kind of pay attention to what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's kind of helpful to understand what you're going in to vote for. The Park District has a question on the April 2nd, sorry about the noise, everyone. Has a question on the April 2nd consolidated ballot related to a limiting rate increase. It sounds scary, and I certainly understand why it sounds that way, because nowhere in this question were we given any ability to tell you why we're doing it. It is literally just numbers and dates were the only things we were allowed to change, so it doesn't make it easy for somebody to understand why. And the reason that the question's been asked is because for many years the Park District knew this was coming, and so we always planned on the fact that as you're rolling things back, we could look at the idea of, okay, we have all this outstanding debt in our hands. Right now, taxpayers pay approximately $2.3 million annually to fund the debt that we have. The Park District is asking to keep about 44% of that, or about $980,000 of it. So in 2019, 50% of that comes off, and 2020, the other 50% comes off, which means by the time you get to at the end of this, you will no longer be paying $2.3 million worth of your bills. So to kind of bring it down to a real simple basis and understanding is, if you own a $200,000 house here in Tinley, which is about the average price, you pay almost $100 a year in debt service alone, just debt service. We're asking to keep about $44 of that. The rest is coming off, which means your tax bills are going down no matter what. The vote is the tax bills are coming down from the Park District standpoint. It's just kind of worked out perfectly that we're there. So as kind of good stewards, the board felt that it was smart to ask this question at this point to say, hey, the taxpayers aren't going to feel this if we ask it the right way at the right time. They're going to get a reduction anyway, so let's ask the question, which is why we're now asking the question. So as you kind of go through it, like I said, this question is statutorily written, and it's terrible. All you see in every one of the line items is an increase, an increase, an increase. This simply is being used for capital long-term maintenance funding. We have about a $980,000 hole, which is where that number came from, based on our 10-year plans and outlooks, what we have coming down the pipe. On the back of your brochure, what you'll find is all the amenities that we have that you take advantage of today, as well as our share of the local tax bill, so people understand truly how much your tax bill breaks down to where it goes. It's about as simple as that. I don't think I can make it much simpler than that. So I guess at this point I'm just looking for any questions that somebody may have. Please.
So were you here when they started all this, when the referendum came out for us to build all the additions?
I was not. I'm new to the community. I've been here for about 2 years.
Okay. And first, let me say this. I've lived here 22 years, I think, and I do love everything about Tinley Park District. I think fantastic. I used to, I actually live right back here, so in the wintertime, my family has like a private area back here because we take walk our dog, and then really nobody comes out because it's so cold, but it's beautiful. I mean, and everything's laid out beautiful. And honestly, I love everything. I love what they did here. But I guess when I started seeing them doing these changes and the opening the pool, I looked at it more as, you guys are going to start being a revenue producer. So not just that we're going to keep our taxes flat, you're going to drive them down.
Sure.
Just because, we're getting really beat up on our schools. And not to complain, I love our schools. We have great schools. Great schools. My kids are doing fabulous outside after those schools. But I just think that, I guess that's my question, is I always thought we were going to be revenue generating, and I want to know, do we price our things, in a way like to outsiders? I don't want to ever increase the cost for us in certain part, but when outsiders do come in, we all know so many people come into the pool. You have time, can't get a chair, it's uncomfortable. I mean, if we price it higher,
we
for
price
the
it
outside
where we
people.
can. If I may, the pool, the fitness center are they're revenue neutral. They don't cost the taxpayers anything. They actually cost all their operating and capital funding comes from the users. Now, the pool is a unique animal in and of itself because the pool was built with OSLIT funds, That's the open space land and acquisition fund. That money, when you take that, gives you a limit on how much you can charge non-residents.
Okay.
So it can only be double what we charge residents,
Okay.
which is why the price points are where they're at. So in order for us to go higher, we have to bring them, and we just don't want to come. We want to take care of the residents. We certainly understand that, but we have limitations because where the funds come from. So because of that, we simply keep them where we're at. And we make a periodic adjustment. I think you probably saw it. I think there was a health or a fitness center adjustment a year ago. Obviously, the latest news with this minimum wage and everything coming out, we'll have to sit down and look earlier. Normally, we take a few years in between, but we'll have to start looking at that a little earlier. And I think everybody's quite nervous about that one. But so from that standpoint, they are revenue generating, and they are literally cost neutral to the taxpayer. The users only at the fitness center and the water park. Okay. Literally, operating and capital comes from the people using it, not from the taxpayers themselves.
Okay. I mean, that was, kind of one of my questions. And
Certainly.
then, and the other thing too is, we all know we live in a state, we have pension issues, and we have to start having hard decisions. We have to start being talked about for the future. What are you going to change to? How do we prepare? I shouldn't even say we have to change, but how do we prepare? Are we covering, are your costs, your salary, and whoever else works here, and all the healthcare and pension costs, are those all being paid in properly?
We have an actuarial figure that comes out every year that we calculate that keeps paying into it. It's actually, I believe the IMRF is funded at like 89%. I mean, it's funded properly, and those figures are changed on a regular basis to make sure you're keeping up with your pension liability. But on the more local side of that, staff is under the realization that, especially now with this minimum wage stuff, is we have to keep paying attention to efficiency. They always were, but now we have to start looking at that even harder to say, okay, where can we reduce costs when we can? We certainly understand that everybody's feeling the pinch. We're all taxpayers. I live right down the street here myself. We want our costs to stay where they can be. So that's why the Park District is taking this step, because from an impact side, your taxes are going down no matter what the vote is on this. The question then becomes is, how are we funding this? Because we're not going to let anything go to fall apart here. We're going to prepare these things. The question is, are we going to pay for it? Kind of like, we used a mortgage analogy earlier. You've had a mortgage your entire life. You pay your last payment. Do you stop putting money on the side for it? Because something's going to happen, or you're going to want to make expansions or those kind of things. That's kind of what we're at. We're about to pay our last mortgage payment, and we just want to be cautious and smart about it.
The only thing is, I'll ask you to go back and look at what they said when they raised their tax. I get what you're saying. Now
Sure.
That's going to come down. But see, what the promise was to us when we voted this in is we're asking you guys to take this price increase, and then it's going to, we're going to come down. We're going to lower your taxes down. And now here we are at that end. Instead of that happening, which was what was promised, is why we voted it in. I mean, part of it was we voted on what you guys said, or not you, but what was.
Certainly, no, I get you.
But you got to remember, we were expecting that to come back
100%.
down. So when you say that, well, you're not going to see the change, but
well, what I can promise you is that they're going down, and we know that what we're looking for is about 980,000. You currently pay 2.3 million every year in that. So a yes vote means 980,000 still coming back. You're still reducing that by 1.35 million over the next 2 years, and that'll fall completely off. So your taxes are coming down. It's just a matter of how much. Because if they don't come all the way down, one of the options has to be looked at would be bonding it, which means then I have to finance an issue and the interest cost associated with it, which means it costs more to get it than it would have been just to say, well, again, it's trying to be fair to the taxpayers. We just like to give you the option because we think it's being fair to say, we don't really want to bond if we don't have to. We're in a position where we're saying to you as a taxpayer, we're reducing your costs. We know your costs are coming down by 50% plus, at least on the debt service side, which is, again, $100 to that person who owns a $200,000 home. So we're asking to keep about $44. So you're going to get almost a $66 reduction from the Park District. I can't control the other taxing bodies.
No, I understand. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. guys have any, that last question, I promise. Do you have any relationship with the high schools, like for no-pay internships for kids?
We do. I can't say that we have those with the high schools. We have internships with our community colleges. Some of them have kids that come through here that kind of are in their process of getting to their careers, and then provide that influx of help. But with the high schools, we have a lot of kids that work for us, but they're not interns. Most of them are starting their first jobs. First jobs.
We're service hours. I mean,
yeah.
It just
That
seems like,
we do
it's so nice to have that no labor costs.
We've always been fortunate that way.
Good.
We do have that. The high schools have been for years providing us with the helpers for everything from our dances to race pick up, the race days, big events. They're here, and we've been very fortunate to have those relationships, and hopefully we keep those fingers.
Yeah, because I think it's important to get our kids, a touch of different things they could do with their lives. You know what I mean? And working in this kind of environment would be really nice, and then it does help.
I wish somebody would have shown me the Parks and Rec when I was a kid. I came into this career field 12 years ago.
I know. Who knew you could have a job like this, working at,
Planning the fun in people's life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we play all day.
Exactly. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
no
That was
problem.
what I'm doing.
Any other questions? Well, we thank everybody for spending some time with us. Thank you to you for coming out. I appreciate the time. And should you have any questions, feel free to contact us here at the Park District, either at 708-342-4200 or at tinleyparkdistrict.org.
Mention the next meeting because
Oh.
someone's asking what meeting is this?
This is the referendum meeting for 2019 for the Park District limiting rate increase. Our next meeting is this Thursday, 7 o'clock, at the Performing Arts Center, just off of 80th Avenue, just north of 80th and 171st.
16801.
What's that?
16801.
16801, as I'm being told by the voice behind the camera. So thank you for spending some time with us this evening. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you.